it's Penny here, and today we're going to be putting together my March TBR. Now, as usual, I will be using my TBR Machine website that I made, which spits out random reading prompts, and I'll be using that to pick 3 books off my TBR cart. As well, I'm going to have a look through the 5 reading goals that I set for this year, and I'm going to make sure that I have some books for those as well. Which works out well because my first reading goal is to get to TBR 0. I have estimated if I can pick 3 books off my TBR cart and read them every month, then I will make it to TBR 0. Is that how I normally cross my fingers? Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to cross my fingers. So I've got the TBR machine here on my phone. I'm going to pick the first prompt and the first book of my TBR. So the first prompt is read a book with orange on the cover. At least I should have a book for that. I am getting down to only like 20 books left, which does mean that sometimes it can be hard to fulfill the prompt. Okay, so there were a lot less options than I was thinking I would have. But what I'm going to go with is Pixel Juice by Jeff Noon. It's kind of yellow, but like the darker bits are more orange. So like close enough. This, I believe, is a short story anthology with all sorts of weird stories in it. However, a while ago when I had this on my TBR, because I put it on my TBR quite a few times without reading it, and I did have a look in it, and it begins with a prologue, which seems to me very strange if it's a short story anthology, because since when do short story anthologies have prologues and chapters? But maybe it does. Anyway, I don't really know what this is about. I think weird science fiction short stories, but I could be wrong. No one's ever corrected me, so maybe just no one's really read this. But this is going to be the first book on my TBR. So now, let us pick the second prompt. Read an anthology. Do I have any other anthologies on this card? I do. Oh my goodness. So this is another one that's been on my TBR quite a few times. So I guess March is gonna be the month for reading all of these books. The Time Machine and Other Stories by H.G. Wells. So it's got The Time Machine in it and then a bunch of other short stories. That's an anthology. I've been wanting to read The Time Machine for a while because I really like time travel stories, and this is like a classic in the genre, I guess. And I've had this for quite a while. I mean, it is quite short, but the writing's fairly small, not too small. I definitely could read this. I don't know why it's been taking me so long to get to it. So that'll be the second book. Let's pick the final prompt. Read a second-hand book. Honestly, most of the books on my TBR cart are second-hand books because I'm a sucker for books that are only like $1 or $2. I can't resist them. So this should be easy. Oh no, this is hard. Because one thing I like about the TBR machine is that it like reduces my choices, so it makes my decisions easier. But when there's too many options, it's just difficult. And like part of me is saying to myself that I should pick a book that's short to make it easier for myself. However, all that does is make it harder for me in future months to pick short books. So I need a mix. Both of these are kind of shortish, so maybe I could pick a longer one to balance it out. This is taking me a long time. Oh, you know what I need to read? Okay, I picked one. So what I really need to read is Ballad by Maggie Stiefvater. I read the first book, Lament, quite a long time ago, and I've been meaning to read the second book, but it's been much longer than I planned. So this is Maggie Stiefvater's dark fairy tale novels. It's kind of like Twilight but fairies, with a little bit of like music magic and a little bit of Maggie Stiefvater whimsy, but not too much because the first book in this series was her debut. The second book I want to read, and then the third book never got released because she moved on to other things, and at this point she feels like her writing style is so different and she would write the series so different that she doesn't even know how to write the third book. But regardless, I still want to read this for completeness sake, so this is the one that I'm going to read. So that means we've got these 3 books to read off my TBR. So that's a start for our TBR. Now we want to move on to some of my other goals. Okay, so my next goal that I want to complete is Series 0, and I think this one is extremely optimistic, but I at least want to make progress on my series and especially finish series off where I can. So in February I finished off debatably the Grishaverse and the Six of Crows duology. I'm now debating whether I want to read the next duology, but that's that's a whole different series, so it doesn't count. But in March, so I'm planning to finish off the Spellslinger series. I actually said I would finish that off in March, but at this point, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm nearly there though. It'll probably be the first thing I read in March. Regardless, I'm going to read Crownbreaker, the 6th, 7th, the final. It's definitely the final book anyway. That's the main thing you need to know. So this is about this boy who, just as he was about to take his magic exams, discovered that he was losing his magic, and as a result he's ended up traveling around the world. Every book pretty much has a whole new cast of characters and a whole new magic system, so I really have no idea how the series is going to wrap up, but I'm excited to find out. The other series that I said that I would complete in February, and again I just did not get there, and I think I will have to give myself a punishment, and for my punishments I was telling myself I need to donate to charity. So that's 2 series that I didn't complete. Now technically this next series, I'm talking about this all in the wrong order. This next series I've got 5 more books to go, but they're all super short. Each audiobook is about 4 hours, so altogether it's like a normal book, and they're so short that I feel dissatisfied with each one, so I want to read them all in one go. What series am I even talking about? I'm talking about Cirque du Freak, the Darren Shan saga. So it's about this boy named Darren Shan who's become very involved with vampire politics. It's like a middle grade fantasy. They're very fast paced and just a lot of fun, even though they're also a little bit dark. I have been really enjoying the series, but I just need to get through it. So I'm going to do that in March. I wanted to do it in February, but I didn't. But also, it's the equivalent of 1 book, so it's only going to count for 1 punishment. So that's 2 punishments. I don't really know what I'm doing anymore because I kind of didn't want to do those videos because I didn't feel like they were worthwhile. But maybe I'll just, offline, I'll pick the 2 charities that I'm going to donate to and I'll put them here and here. Anyway, that's 2 series that I will be finishing. As well, I have Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. So this is the latest book in the Wayward Children series. I think it's the 6th book. Wow, she's written a lot of books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 6th book. I imagine that the series will still go on for a bit after this, but after reading this I will have caught up because this was just released in January. I think she pretty much releases another book in this series every January, so that's something to look forward to every year. This one I believe is about a character, possibly a non-binary character, who goes through into this world of magical horses. Basically every 2nd book in this series there is a character who finds a magical door and goes to a magical world where they belong. But I expect at some point they also get kicked out, and that's how they find themselves into the Home for Wayward Children, and all their stories kind of connect up in the other books in the series. It's a very popular series, so you've probably heard about it, but anyway, I'm going to read that. Another bonus is that it's super short, so that makes my TBR easier. I guess technically I can say that by reading Ballad I'm also finishing off a series, because even though it's the 2nd book of 3, the 3rd book will never exist. So I'm making good progress on series, and I don't think I'm going to start any new series this month. Pretty sure. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's move on to the next goal, which is diversity. So for this, firstly, I said that I wanted to read 1 book by a Maori or Pacific author every couple of months. I have still been really struggling to find good fantasy written by Maori or Pacific authors. So if you have any suggestions or just things you think I'd like, do suggest them in the comments, but I haven't had many suggestions, so I think 1, there's just not much out there actually being published, and 2, it's a little bit hard to find. I'm working on it. I went to the library specifically for this. It didn't help me. But what I did find is the ebook for this short story anthology called Pūrākau, I think. I really need to work on my Maori pronunciation. I'm pretty sure it's Pūrākau. Sometimes the Maori language is kind of beautiful. Anyway, this is a short story anthology, and all the short stories are written by different Maori authors. So hopefully this will help me find some that I really like, and then I can dig into more of their work, which would be exciting. I think it's actually retellings of Maori mythology, which should be interesting. And it's a pretty recent release as well. So I've got that. Then the next goal is that I wanted to be reading less than 70% white authors. This one, I'm going to have a look at my graph right now, but I'm pretty sure it's awful. Well, not awful, but like, I'm failing. So, I've put in all the books that I think I'm going to read in March, and you'll see that for the year we're sitting at 86.5% white authors, so that's not ideal. But looking at it per month, in January I read all white authors. I was just reading what I had because it was January and I hadn't really gotten ready for the year yet. I hadn't set my goals, so that was a bad start. Then moving on to February, I actually managed to get 70% white, which was a surprise because I didn't actually put much effort into it. However, looking at where we are for March, I'm at 86% white authors. I'm also thinking, I don't know if I've got capacity to add more books, because when I look at the amount, I mean, it's not quite at the level that February was. And like, I did okay with reading in February, and March is a longer month, but I have been trying to make the amount I read reasonable, achievable. Oh, also, I'm thinking about it now. On the 20th of March, that weekend, Becca is doing a 48-hour Becca's Bookopoly readathon. You can't really plan for it because she's going to give the prompts on the day. I'm going to try and read for that a bunch of like graphic novels and manga. So perhaps that's where I'm going to try and catch up. I could read a bunch of manga. And I'm thinking of some other graphic novels that I had in mind to read that might fix this problem. So I'm going to leave it as it is for now, but I do have a plan to fix it. I do also have Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. So this is another book that is helping to get my white author percentage down. So Nnedi Okorafor is an author I've read from before and I really liked it. This, I think, is about a girl who's been adopted by the Angel of Death. That's all I really needed to know to pick it up. This cover is beautiful, and again, super short, so that makes it easy. So I am super excited to read that one. And then I also had one more bullet point for diversity, and that was the easiest goal it should be. That's just to read one non-binary author. Now, if I look at the gender of the authors I've been reading so far, it kind of cracked me up to see that in February I read books mostly by women. However, I haven't read any non-binary authors yet. And I was like, what should I read? I actually struggled to find something at first, and then I found Magic for Liars. So I know that Jessie over at the Bookish Mom, I always feel like when someone says mom, I should say mom, but I feel like it sounds ridiculous coming out of my New Zealand mouth. But if I say the Bookish Mum, you'll be like, what? I'm not a mum, I'm a mom. Anyway, I'm getting very distracted. It's very late at night, to be honest. The point is that I'm going to read Magic for Liars in March, and that will get me my non-binary authored book for the year, but I will definitely try to read some more throughout the year as well. Again, if you have some good fantasy or science fiction or even thrillers, maybe horrors written by non-binary authors, please give me recommendations down in the comments. I don't actually remember much about Magic for Liars other than there's some kind of magic school. I have seen quite a few people really like it, so I think that's enough for me to pick it up. Hello, so Editing Penny here, because apparently I was too distracted and overwhelmed by my failures to finish going through the rest of my goals. So what do we have? My fourth goal was around the genres I was reading, so I wanted to read less fantasy, more science fiction, more thrillers and horrors. Now I'm actually doing okay at reading science fiction, but less fantasy, not so much, and I haven't really even read any thrillers and horrors. No, I read one, so that's not very good progress on that. So I guess all I can do is ask again below, please can you give me thriller and horror recommendations? Because I do often really enjoy the thrillers I read, but I just don't know how to know which ones are good. And then my fifth goal was that I wanted to get my average rating over 3.24, or basically I wanted it to increase. Last year my average rating was 3.24 according to my fancy spreadsheet where I rate things against 5 criteria and then average them together. Now as a stretch goal, I thought maybe I could get that to 3.5, but I didn't think it was realistic. However, at the moment I'm actually sitting at 3.47, so it's not bad. Although the main thing I did for that in February is that I really tried to read some books that I knew I was going to love. Looking at my March selection, there are still a few unknowns in there that could be favourite, but like I don't know I'm going to love them. So I guess we'll have to see, but I'm already in a pretty good position for this goal at the moment. Anyway, back to More Together Penny. Was she? Probably not. And so that is 14 books, which is more than enough. I kind of would like to have picked up some more books from the Realm of the Outerlings by Robin Hobb, but I don't really see myself having enough time, so I guess I have to put it off for now. Oh, I just realized another book that I forgot to mention. As far as series go, I also have The Camelot Betrayal by Kiersten White. This is the second book in I don't know what the series is called, but the first book was called The Guinevere Deception. It's basically an Arthur and Camelot retelling, except that Guinevere has been replaced by a changeling who has these magical powers. There were some interesting twists in the first one, however, for the most part it was a little bit boring, so I wasn't confident I wanted to continue the series, but then I saw the second one available on audiobook, and I put a hold on it, and it's come through, so I guess I'll read it. Why not? Do I sound excited? No, but whatever. Anyway, let me stack these books for you. Oh, this pile is tiny! Is this really everything? No, I've got an ebook as well, and a bunch of audiobooks. So, this will be the physical books that I need to read. Also need to read an ebook. I also need to read 8 audiobooks, which is about 2 a week, which is generally the speed I actually tend to read at. So that should be okay. And they're not, most of them are really short ones. So I think it'll be fine. And then I'll have some time to pick up some other ones, and I'll try to make it non-white authors, and then I'll be winning at everything, perhaps. Or maybe March will turn into a disaster and I won't read anything. You never know. Anyway, those are the books that I'm reading. Do let me know if you have read any of these, whether you think I'm going to like them. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.